Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. Let's talk about anything and everything that is geek, whether it be TV, comics, movies, or video games. And as y'all know out there, and I think this is kind of a no-brainer, that y'all know I'm a huge Superman fan. As a resounding duh behind it. I'm a huge Superman fan, have been all my life. And usually it takes a lot for me not to be interested in something that has to do with Superman. Well, it just happened recently. As y'all know, last year, I know this is kind of a sit down for this. I've actually found that lately in the latest Superman comics that have come out that I'm not really interested in reading them, and are actually, I do say, actually kind of boring. I know it's kind of, I know, like, it's kind of hold your breath, sit down, you might need some air for this. Don't faint on me here. Let me explain. As of last year, the main writer on all the Superman book, as last year, a certain big name writer took over all the writing duties for all the Superman books. And as y'all know, have been following along, that writer is none other than former Marvel writer Brian Michael Bendis. And he said like he was going to do all these big things for Superman and everything. Well, we got a sneak peek in Action Comics number 1000 in the last story of the anthology they had for that issue, introducing this new villain named Rogol Zaar. And I'm definitely say after reading a few of these issues of the whole Rogol Zaar thing, I'm over it. I am so over it. I am so done with that. I mean, I've only seen here and there, been reading it. So it's like, to me, it is just so boring. I mean, I was like, every time you turn around, there he is. To me, he's popping up worse than Lex Luthor or Mixia Spitley. I mean, his whole shtick, I think, is supposed to be that he holds Jor-El responsible for the destruction of his world somehow. So, and it's looking like it's building up to me that he is the one responsible for the destruction of Krypton. And I was just like, and now he's somehow made it to Earth, and he just wants to butcher every Kryptonian that he can come across. I mean, throughout the whole highlight of this one storyline, which seems to have been going on for like a year now. A year! Has been going on for like a solid year now. I think it's in the Superman books, I think. It's been going on for like a solid year now, and it's just really dull. I mean, it's like, when is it going to have Superman in this guy? And I'm just tired of it. I mean, the whole highlight of this whole thing was issue 3. Issue 3, where the best thing Bendis has ever done in this whole arc is that he brought Nuclear Man from Superman 4: The Quest for Peace into continuity in the comics. And I thought that was so awesome. I mean, the fact that Rogol Zaar actually kills him in a matter of a couple of pages, but still the principal thing is he's now canon. And I just thought that was great. But the fact that they just keep dragging this story on and on and on and on, I was like, it's just so dull. And right side by side with that, I mean, you got one book that is tackling the whole Rogol Zaar thing, and also the fact that it all started with the whole Man of Steel miniseries that started after Action Comics 1000. And it was kind of like almost like a like things that's been going on since since they've got back, and all this stuff that happened with Superman Reborn and all this stuff. But it kind of all started in that book, and then it just kept, that book, the Man of Steel book, I've not been hearing very favorable things about that. To make it sound like that he and Lois split up. something happened to Jonathan. Come to find out, the whole thing is that Jonathan and Lois left him on Earth to go. Basically, Lois went with John in space with Jor-El to train while Superman stayed on Earth, and it's just incredibly good. I've heard a lot of bad things about that. I heard a lot of bad things about Bendis' writing of the characters and everything with a lot of the other books, and that they act a lot out of character for who they are. Like Martian Manhunter, I've heard he acts a lot out of character in one issue that he was in. I mean, I've not heard very good things about like Man of Steel or his Superman run. And now you got, I think over in Action Comics, they've introduced this whole Leviathan story. Like, it's deep, like this big bad deep rooted organization that's in the that's been in the DCU for years. And who is Leviathan? Who is the one running this stuff? And I just look at it and just yawn. It's just has such an air of boredom to me. It does not feel exciting at all. It ain't got me excited. I could care less who Leviathan is, and I especially don't give a rip about Rogol Zar. I mean, all this time they keep just drawing it out like, why does he want to destroy Superman? What's his beef with Kryptonians? All this stuff. And I was like, I could care less. I mean, just recently I picked one up basically explaining what in the world happened to John. I mean, it's like he's been gone, and what little bit of time that he's been gone away from Earth. He left Earth as a 9-year-old kid. Now it looks like he's about either like between 15 and 19 years old, and he's like I said, he's gotten old, like several years older, and he's just starting to explain where he's been at. And the issue that I managed to grab up is the one where he's wound up on Earth 3 and has been prisoner of Ultraman for several years. Just looking at that, I got bored. I got bored with that too. I was just like, this is not a very exciting issue. It's just so dull. And I remember years ago, everybody's like, they wanted to see Batman and Daredevil have a crossover issue with him writing it. And I think I heard actually somebody say, why in the world would you want a solid issue of nothing but Batman and Daredevil talking in a cave? I look back on that now, that does sound a trifle bit dull, and so does this. There is hardly any action in these books. I mean, the art is fantastic in these books, but the writing is terrible. And I said that's the only I mean, it's just sad when the only redeeming qualities is the art and the introduction of a villain from a bad Superman movie. Yeah, I'm telling Superman 4 bad. Get a lot of agreement with that. But a pretty good villain from a pretty bad Superman movie gets brought into canon. That's just sad when that's the only redeeming qualities in this book. I mean, the art one thing that also makes me kind of ticked is the fact that in that same issue where they talk about with Superboy getting held prisoner by Ultraman, you've got Ultraman saying all this stuff, and yet you've got, I mean, it's one of the worst setups I've ever seen. Like, you got the fantastic picture of Ultraman, and right over top of that, you've got all the word bubbles of everything that Ultraman is spewing to him. And then over top of that, you've got, it's basically like overlaying a voiceover from John. And it looks like an utter mess. I mean, I can't remember the issue right now, but it's one of the latest issues of Superman. I mean, it's just horrible the way that's set up. I mean, they could have where you could read what Ultraman say on one side of the page and, excuse me, where what John is saying on the other side of the page, don't have them overlay each other like that. And also the fact that they've got, I mean, just don't do that. It's, like I said, it just looks sloppy. It looks terrible. And the fact that they've got Bendis doing other books, all I got to say, I got him doing like Young Justice, where they brought back Connor Kent Superboy from before, they brought back the Connor Kent Superboy, the actual Connor Kent Superboy, the way he looked in the 90s during the reign of Superman and all that. And in fact, they brought him back. All I got to say about that is that better be infinitely more interesting than what he's doing in Superman, because what he's doing in Superman, and everybody's always accused Superman of over years of, oh, he's a boring character, oh, this, that, and the other, he's boring. He is now. He wasn't boring before, but he sure is now. And all I have to say is, just stop. I mean, it's just sad for me to actually say when Superman is boring, but when it's boring, it's boring. It wasn't before. I was interested before, but with all this Rogol Zar mess and all this mess with this Leviathan story, I couldn't be more bored. And it's just sad. When you make it's a sad day when you make a lifelong diehard Superman fan like me bored with I'm gonna just say the classic Superman, the classic pre-52 Superman. And that's what he's supposed to be. I had a lot to say about New 52, but just because it was against the character, I'm criticizing Superman books now just because, like I said, he made them boring. And it's just sad when I won't read a Superman book because it's boring. But I digress. What do y'all think? Do y'all think it's boring? Or do y'all actually like his stuff? I mean, I'm not putting it down for anybody else to not like. Y'all can like. I said to each their own. But what do y'all think? Do y'all actually like what Bendis has been doing with Superman, or do y'all think it's insufferably dull too? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see y'all next time.